What's the YouTube? Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you Rob's Evil Eye Unchained profile. So Rob's been working on this build. He sent me a list across. Me and him have been working back and forth, made some tweaks and changes to it. And there's also a one-card combo at the end of the video that will show you what this deck can do with the base minimum. So with all of that out of the way, if you want to see a designated combo video or test hands for this deck as well, make sure you hit that like button. Getting it above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will show the appreciation for this type of content, and I will bring more for you. So with all of that out of the way, we're just going to dive head first into the build and show you exactly what we've got. So, reigniting with the Evil Eyes, we are going with Triple Yugioh. This is your main normal summon of the deck in general, and obviously the main normal summon for the Evil Eyes as well. So when it is specifically normal summoned, you get to add an Evil Eye card from your deck to the hand except itself. If this card is equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, you gain a quick effect to target a special summon monster your opponent controls and you destroy it. You can only use this effect once per turn, and then once per turn during the next standby phase after this effect was activated, you have to destroy one card you control. We've then got Triple of the Basilisk. This card is absolutely insane, and this is one of the more recent ones that came out in Photon Hypernova. So if you control an Evil Eye monster and this card is in the hand or the graveyard, you get to special summon it back from the graveyard, or special summon it from where it was. The best thing about this is a combination of the two older cards, which is what makes it so good. This one's special from hand, this special from grave, and this can do both. If that wasn't enough as well, you also get the ability that during your opponent's turn, you gain a quick effect to immediately after this effect resolves, link summon an Evil Eye Link monster using monsters you control as material. When you do, you can also use Evil Eye spell cards you control equipped to an Evil Eye monster as link material, which is absolutely insane because it basically turns two of your cards into your link-free monster. And that was one of the issues that the Evil Eyes had, is that they had a link-free monster which is pretty decent, but could only be summoned using exactly Evil Eye monsters, basically. So you always had to kind of like slowly work your way up into the Gorgon to then go into the Zerziel. And this one allows you to bypass that, which is really, really nice. We've got two Medusa. Now, arguably Medusa could possibly be one, because when this card is summoned, normal summon specifically, you target an Evil Eye card in your graveyard except itself and you add it to the hand. So obviously if you open this card up and you've got nothing in the graveyard, it's pretty dead. If it is equipped with Evil Eye Selene, you gain a quick effect to target a monster your opponent controls in their graveyard, and banish it. You only can use this effect once per turn, and then during the next standby phase after this effect was activated, you banish one card in your graveyard. As a little note, as I might have missed it, if this summons itself from hand or graveyard, it does get banished when it leaves the field. We're then playing the one Basilisk, and the one of the dog. Now, basically, you could play two of this if you want to. This one is if you control an Evil Eye, special it from the hand. If you control an Evil Eye, special it from the graveyard. This one, you get to target an Evil Eye spell or trap you control, and then once until the end of the next turn, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then when this card is in the graveyard, you get to special summon it back, but banish it when it leaves the field, as long as you control an Evil Eye monster. This one is a little bit more effective because once per turn during the main phase, you gain the effect to send an Evil Eye spell or trap from the deck to the graveyard, which is actually quite useful because you've got a lot of Evil Eye spells and traps that have graveyard effects. So that's it for the Evil Eye monsters. We'll go over the Evil Eye spells and traps very shortly. We're going to go over the Unchained cards first. So for the Unchained monsters, we are playing two Savara. Initially there was three, and I said to Rob, well, in the later games, the third comes a little bit less effective. It's kind of good because if you get to the second copy, or you've already get to a second copy, you can start popping some of your own cards and then use your armor to come back from the graveyard, or recycle your fiends from the graveyard. But then I said, well, what happens if we add one Aruha and one Sarama to the board, and obviously add a Abomination's Prison? And what this kind of does is it means that through Yama, if you open up either Savara or Aruha, and then you search out the other one, your Aruha is actually a little bit more effective because it lets you target a card you control, whereas your Savara needs to target a set card or a fiend on the board. And what happens here is the idea is your Savara is going to summon itself down, do its natural plays anyway, set the trap card. The Aruha is then going to pop the trap card to summon itself down, triggering the trap card to give you the Sarama. The Sarama is then going to loop itself back around to reset the trap card while either keeping the Aruha on the board and destroying another card you control in order to unlock your DDD triple rank 3 Stone Darius into your Deus Ex Machina, or it's going to give you the ability to get another Savara from the deck. Now you could play the Shayama, the level 6 blue, if you wanted to. So I'm still testing this out to find out which ratio works nicely. But the reason I like Sarama is its graveyard recursion. Aruha just lets you pop any card. And the best thing about Aruha is technically you could destroy a domain, and the domain can then let you add an Evil Eye back from the graveyard. So for example, in a later game state, if you've already got Zerziel in the graveyard, or you open up Domain, they stop this, but you also open up Unleash that lets you Foolish Burial the Surzeal. You could technically activate Aruha, destroy the field spell, summon down the Aruha, and then add back the Surzeal from the grave. Normal summon the Surzeal, and then Surzeal can start making plays that it needs to. So I thought this kind of looked like something cool to trial out. It does lean a little bit more into the rank 3 DDD engine than anything else, but the base minimum, you can just play 3 Savara and then leave it at that with 1 trap card. So moving on to the Evil Eyes. Well, actually, I might as well just finish off the Unchained. So we play the 1 Prison and the 1 Escape. And the reason we play just the 1 Prison is Prison can ideally become Sarama if you want your normal summon, but ideally you don't want that. You kind of want your Prison to be your Savara or the Aruha. And that's kind of the reason why we're not playing 3 Prison, because you kind of want to keep this engine to a minimum. You still want the 2 Savara, because being able to get that quick effect can be quite useful, so that if your opponent turns your board off or they destroy the Escape and you can't trigger the Yama from grave, you'll still have the quick effect of this to pop a card you control and then use Yama to bring back, for example, the Rage. So that's the reason I've gone with these particular ratios. And the Prison can either be the Savara or the Aruha, so it just means that you've got an option of either or. Rather than trying to clog the deck down by playing multiple Aruhas or multiple Savaras, you're basically using Prison as a either or kind of option. Not to mention, if you've already got both of these, you're already opening these up, you can very easily set this card, and it's a card that can very easily be destroyed by one of these two to then trigger and then summon out Sarama, meaning you don't need to worry about burning through your resources so much that way. So that's it for the Unchained cards. Moving on to the Evil Eyes. So we've got 3 re-emergence. Like, the Evil Eye cards are absolutely insane. It's just a shame that it's a little bit slow of a deck. But with the Unchained cards, it does get really, really kind of cool and fun. So re-emergence is the second most important one next to Unleashed. But this came out in Eternity Code. You special summon 1 Familiar of the Evil Eye token, which is obviously an Evil Eye card, which is really important because that can help you get into your links. But if you control Evil Eye Selene in your spell and trap zone, you can special summon 2 tokens instead. So instantly, 1 card with the Selene gets you into your link too. After this effect resolves, you're locked into Fiends, but that doesn't really matter for the rest of the turn. You can banish it from the graveyard, and then your opponent cannot target Evil Eye spell or traps you control with card effects this turn. Now, it's a shame that that's not a quick effect. I would have much rather this been a quick effect, because then you can banish it from the graveyard, and then it means you can protect your stuff during your opponent's turn. But ideally what you're doing here is you're using this effect to protect during your turn, but then when you're activating this effect, your opponent's either going to try to pop before you do this, or they're going to pop after you do, like in response to this. So it's a bit of give and take, really. And then we've got Unleashed. Now this is the other brand new card we got in Photon Hypernova, which is so good. And in the artwork, you can see that it's got the 2 equips, Selene and the Gorgon, in 1 card. I would really love us to get a card that is both of those, and it's just like a complete Evil Eye mask. But I find that hard to believe that we're going to get something like that. So this one is you send an Evil Eye monster and 1 Evil Eye spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard to add an Evil Eye equipped spell from the deck to the hand. Now, the really good thing about that, you get the ability of being able to send your Gorgon equipped spell, but then you also send the Ballistris, because by sending this, you've got a card that can come back from the graveyard, and by sending your Gorgon spell card, this gives you the ability to banish it and then discard the Selene that you add off the Unleashed to then search you out your token producer. And then you've got the ability to pay 1,000 life points and banish the Unleashed to add this back to the hand. So it's just a 1 card combo, which you'll see at the end of the video, just works so well. Now, obviously, the downside of this card is for the rest of the turn, every time you activate a non-Evil Eye card, you lose 500 life points, which in this particular build you will do at least twice, because you'll use Unchained Soul Lord of Yama and the Savara, sorry, and that's going to burn you at least 1,000 life points. But on the flip side, that's where your boss monster for your Evil Eyes is going to come into play, because they're just going to be a fat stack by the time you get into it. If you link summon an Evil Eye Link monster, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to equip an Evil Eye equip spell from your graveyard to that Evil Eye Link monster. That's actually really helpful, because then once you're kind of link climbing up and either going into your Gorgon or going into your Zerziel, you're going to be able to re-equip some cards from the graveyard. We've then got 3 Evil Eye Domain. Now, this is obviously really important, because this is part of your 1 card combo. Either the field spell gets you to Zerziel, or you open up Zerziel already. And then, like I said, if you pop this with one of your Unchained cards, you're going to get the ability to recycle your Evil Eyes from the graveyard. So when it's activated, you get to add an Evil Eye monster. So if you already have Zerziel, you just add an extender or a follow-up for the next turn. And then once per turn during damage calculation, if your Evil Eye monster is attacked, shame that it's not if it battles, but if it's attacked in general, while Evil Eye Selene is in your spell and trap zone, you can make the battle damage you take from that battle also inflicted to your opponent. Keeping in mind, a monster that is equipped with Selene cannot be destroyed by battle, which is really, really cool. Then also, if this card in the field zone is destroyed by card effect, you get target an evil eye monster in your graveyard and add it back to the hand. We've then got 2 of the Yugioh, always going to butcher that name, and 2 Selene. Now, the reason we've gone with 2 and 2 is because ideally you're going to be sending this off of the Unleashed, and then you're going to search the Selene. So you don't really need to brick your deck down. English escapes me. With playing 3 and 3, but you can play 3. I would probably play 3 of this over the Selene if you wanted to. So Selene and Yugioh can only... I'm just going to keep changing the name every time. These can only be equipped to Evil Eye monsters. This one, if it is equipped, it cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects, like the monster, and your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Each time you activate the equipped monster's effect, or you activate another Evil Eye spell or trap card, the equipped monster gains 500 attack, and if you do, you lose 500 life points. The attack gain is permanent or remains even if this card leaves the field. If this card is in the graveyard, you pay 1,000 life points, banish an Evil Eye spell or trap from your graveyard, accept itself, and set this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. This card's name becomes Selene while it is in the spell and trap zone. While your life points are lower than your opponent's, which more times than not it will do, the equipped monster gains attack equal to the difference, and you get to banish this card from the graveyard and discard 1 Evil Eye card to add an Evil Eye spell or trap directly from the deck to the hand. Now, the best thing about this, because of that attack stat change, when you equip it to Gorgon will technically have more than 2,600, so that when you make the Yurplaymat, Yurplaymat will get double attack. Carrying on with the Evil Eye spells, we do play the 1 Awakening. So this is just another way so that you can special summon an Evil Eye monster from the hand or graveyard, or if Evil Eye of Selene is in the spell and trap zone, you get to special summon it from the deck instead. We've then got the 1 Defeat. Now, what's cool about this is if you control an Evil Eye monster, you get to target a monster on the field, or up to 2 if you've got Selene in your spell and trap zone, and you return it to the hand. And then, of course, we've got the Retribution. So if you're worried about like Evilies, Dark Rulers, stuff like that, Retribution is your best one to go for. Then for your generic spells and hand traps, obviously Pot of Prosperity. If you don't have Pot of Prosperity, it's not the end of the world. Like, I mean, you still kind of want it, but Extrav's a little bit risky. Desires can be a little bit risky, but it's probably your next best alternative. Hopefully this is going to get another reprint soon, or it's going to get changed on the ban list. Hopefully a reprint so that everyone can play it first, and then they ban list it. And then you've got a 6-card flex spot where you can either play hand traps, which is what we've got here, with Imperms and Ash Blossoms, or they could be board breakers. What I do quite like the idea of about board breakers is you can very easily play 2 Triple Tactics Frost, 1 Talents, and then you can play an Evenly, Lightning Storm, and a Regeki or a Dark Ruler or anything like that. And the thing is, if you go first and you activate Frost, you can still get a defeat, or you can get a direct access to your Unchained trap card as well. So it's not the end of the world in that kind of scenario. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra decks. We'll start with the Unchained cards first. We are playing 2 Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama. Like the introduction of Yama and then Savara and Shayama to the Unchained kind of engine in general is so insane. The fact this is generic Fiend is unreal, so it requires 2 Fiend monsters, which is why you can summon it off of the token producer. And then if it is special, you get to add an Unchained monster from your deck or graveyard to the hand, so again gives you recyclability. And then if a card or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, while this card is in the graveyard, you get to banish it to special summon a Fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. Then you can destroy 1 card you control. I would have much rather if that was like destroy 1 card on the field. Broken. But the best thing about this is it lets you recycle any Fiend. So you can recycle back your Link monsters, you can recycle back your Yurplaymat. It just has that nice bit of synergy between the 2. Speaking of the other Unchained monsters, we do play 2 Soul of Rage, pretty standard on this one. We're playing the 1 Anguish and the 1 Abomination. Now you could play 2 Abomination and 2 Anguish if you want to, but the idea is that once you've gone through your first Anguish and you've linked into Abomination, you should be pushing for game. Then for your Evil Eyes, we've got 2 of the Gorgon and the 1 Yurplaymat. Now, the reason I've only got the 1 Yurplaymat is I was trying to play around with some different options, which I'm about to show you in a minute. But you could very easily play 2 of this if you wanted to. Or you could play 1 Gorgon and 2 of this, but I felt it was a little bit easier to get into the Gorgon, and then you can still link up into your other cards. Whereas when you make this is kind of like your boss monster you want to stay on, and it should be going in for game. So the Gorgon is, it gains 100 attack for each Evil Eye card with different names in your graveyard, and if this card is equipped with Evil Eye or Selene, you gain a quick effect to target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn, and then once per turn during the next standby phase after this effect was activated, you have to destroy 1 monster this points to. So if you summon it pointing to an opponent's monster, then, or if they're foolish enough to put it in a zone it points to, you get to destroy it. If it's not pointing at either, it doesn't destroy anything. And then the Yurplaymat specifically requires 2 plus Evil Eye monsters, whereas this one just needs to have at least 1 Evil Eye, so you can use the Unchained if you want to get into this. Zerziel is if it's linked someone using a monster with 2600 or 26 or higher attack, which you can do when this is buffed, it gains an additional attack during each battle phase. If this card is equipped with Selene, you gain a quick effect to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. You can only use each effect once per turn. And then during the next standby phase, after this effect was activated, you negate the effect of one effect monster this card points to. So if this doesn't point to anything, you don't negate anything. So you want to make sure you don't put monsters to a zone it points to. They're going to stay on the field because it just negates their effects. Then for the generic cards, we've got the One-Mark Cracker, again, for the fact that it can just recycle your fiends from the graveyard. So in a grind game, as long as it requires 2 effect monsters, it's nice and easy and generic. So if you don't have an Evil Eye monster, or you don't have Fiend monsters, and you just want to get to Muck Cracker, and you can revive your grind, so you can get back an Unchained Soul of Rage, an Anguish, an Abomination, Zerziel, Gorgon, you name it, you just recycle it and you go to rock and roll. Plus there's a nice protection effect. I've then got the Azalea. Now what makes Azalea really kind of cool is you can actually summon it off of the back of the Unchained Soul of Rage because it requires 2 light and or dark monsters. So if you're going to use this to link with your opponent's monster and it's a light or dark, and you don't have a discard in the hand for Unicorn, or you'd actually rather destroy it than spin it back, you actually have the ability to use this to link into the Azalea. And then Azalea will give you the ability, if it's special summon, to target a card on the field and destroy it. So it doesn't even need to target, like, if your opponent sets a card and then special summons a monster, your Azalea can link off, or you can link off with that monster with the Rage and then pop that back row. So it's a really kind of nice interaction. If you have 3 or less spells in the graveyard, you have to send it to the graveyard. But if you do, then it means once per turn at the start of the damage state, if your opponent battles this card, you get to banish a spell from the graveyard to destroy that opponent's monster, which is really nice because it's just ways of getting rid of opponent's board presence. Then Unicorn, so obviously be spin rather than destroy. Trispania, there are ways to trigger this during your opponent's turn. So obviously you're basically going to be destroying one of your cards, bring one back from the graveyard with Yama, trigger this, blow out your opponent's entire back row. And then the final 2 cards is Triple D, Stone King Darius, and Triple D, Divisor King. Like I said, you kind of go out of your way to make these. So if you're like, I really don't want to keep going out of my way to try and make these, then you can bump up your Zerziel to 2. You can put in Underworld Goddess if you want to. You can bump up Abomination, Gorgon, you name it. You've got flexibility in there. You could also very easily put in Super Poly targets, which is what makes this deck so nice, is it's got a nice bit of flexibility with the extra deck. So that's it for the main deck, that's it for the extra deck. I'm now going to show you the 1-card basic combo to get this deck ticking, and then the deck kind of evolves as to whether you add an Evil Eye card to that hand, if you add an additional Unchained card to the hand. You can start adapting the end ball, which is really, really nice, and it shows you a lot of different variations. So, we'll be back in a sec when I've reset the board state now. So this is the 1-card combo. It can either start with Domain, or it can also start with Zerziel, either or. The Domain just gives you a little bit more board presence, but is one additional step. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off by activating Domain. Domain will search you out your Zerziel. Normal summon Zerziel, use this effect to get you your Evil Eye Unleashed. Now keep in mind at this point as well, you still will have 4 more cards in the hand, so they can be board breakers at the very least, or they can be forms of interruption and hand traps. You're going to activate your Unleashed, you're going to send an Evil Eye monster, being this guy, and then an Evil Eye spell, being this one, to then add your Selene from deck to the hand. You will then use the Evil Eye in the graveyard to banish it, to discard the Selene, and allow you to add any Evil Eye spell from the deck to the hand. So you're going to search out your Re-Emergence. You're then going to use Selene's effect to banish the Unleashed, paying 1,000 life points to set this back on the board, and then activating it, equipping it to the Zerziel. You're then going to activate the Re-Emergence, and because you control the Evil Eye, you get to spawn 2 tokens instead of 1. You can then use the Basilatris in the graveyard to summon itself back. You can do it now or you can do it later because Zerziel is going to stay on the board. You can then use the 2 tokens, and this is going to allow you to get into your Yama. Yama's effect is going to trigger, and this is going to allow you to search out your Unchained Soul Savara. You're then going to use Savara's effect to destroy the Basilatris or the one of the tokens, whichever one you leave. Destroying that, this will then get banished, and you're going to summon it down. You're then going to be able to link off your Savara with your Yama, and you're going to go into Rage, and this is then going to allow you to trigger the Savara's effect to set you up your Escape of the Unchained. So you still have 4 more cards in the hand, and basically what this is going to allow you to do is this is going to allow you to have the Zerziel special summon destroy a card. You're also going to use the effect of Unchained Soul of Rage to link off. Now if your opponent activates Dark Rule no more, or they imperm the Rage or anything like that, you still have a way to utilize it because you can still activate Escape. Escape will then destroy the Unchained Soul of Rage. You'll then be able to use the effect of Rage as well as the effect of Yama, banishing the Yama to bring Rage back, and then using the effect of Rage to add the Savara back to your hand. Your escape with the Unchained will still be destroyed, which is absolutely fine, but you're still going to have the ability to link off. Even if you chose to link off prior to this, it really depends on if you're trying to link off into a monster you're going to maintain. So what I mean by that is you link that off and you go into your Unchained Soul of Anguish, because then it means you still have an Unchained card on the board to destroy with escape. Or you're going to be linking into something like your Azalea to pop a card, or you're going to be going into a Unicorn to discard and spin back. So it really depends on what you're facing and how you want to try and interact with it, whether a spin is better, a pop is better, or if you're just happy trying to link climb into everything else you need. Like I said, remember, you're still going to have at least 4 cards in the hand. Those 4 cards can be added to the end board to add the DDD rank 8, or it can be added as more hand traps, more interruptions, more back row. You name it, you're going to have a lot to kind of play around with and really cause your opponent a lot of issues, which is quite nice. So, if you want to see more combos, designated combos from this deck, like the 1-card combo that I've just shown you, plus a 2-card combo, all the way up to like a 3-card combo as well, just to kind of show you how good it can do, and a test time video, then make sure you smash that like button. Getting it above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will show me that you guys want to see more of this content, and I'm more than happy to bring it to you, as long as you guys are going to watch it and enjoy it. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. As absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.